Talking about belly fat, weight gain in menopause. It seems to be everybody's biggest concern in menopause, and I get it. I totally get it. So that was what I struggled with. Let me plug in my phone. That is exactly what I struggled with in my late 40s, and I was so focused on it that I didn't actually realize like how like shit I kind of felt like with all the other things that were happening in menopause. So things like hair loss, energy. I didn't realize that I was actually going through perimenopause, and because nobody was talking about it like they are now. So thank God people are talking about it. But when I was 47, so like I want to say like between 45 and 47, that's when I started going through perimenopause and really having like heavy periods, super painful, hair loss issues, digestion issues. But all of that was kind of overshadowed by the fact that my belly was just getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and everything that I was doing wasn't working. So I was working out a ton. I wasn't eating a ton of calories, but then I was kind of like in that binge and restrict. So it was like different cycles throughout the year. So like in the summer, like I would overeat, and then it would go the other way where I would be super strict during the week and then like overeat on the weekends. And so I was just caught like in this cycle, but also in season. So in summer, like I did not diet at all. But then in the winter, it was like, let's go, or I should say like after New Year's, right? Then the diet would start again. So I was like caught in this vicious cycle, but I didn't realize like what was happening with my hormones. And I didn't realize that could even be a factor. So I thought that you didn't go into menopause until like 50. Like I thought really at 50, boom, that's when you go into menopause. So that was like my understanding, and now I'm 54, and people are talking about it, and so there's so much more information out there. Not that not that the information is helpful, because there's so much different information. So if you guys want to put some comments in, like if you have any symptoms besides like weight gain, and it just seems to come on overnight. So I just want to see if anybody has any other symptoms. Like obviously if you are in menopause or perimenopause, like what other symptoms do you have besides like the belly weight gain? I know like I've had several phone calls this week, people that are interested in like my program and my one-on-one, and so that is like top of mind. But there's also other things that are going on besides just belly fat that you can't get rid of. So I don't blame you guys for sharing, for not sharing, I should say. But so basically what's happening is it's not just belly fat that is happening, right? We're seeing a lot of different things happening with the metabolism and with hormones. And with that being said, we're going to see issues like hair loss, your skin and your nails change. Like I said, digestion issues come up, energy and brain fog is also a big one. Hot flashes, sleep issues, loss of libido. So these are all tied in to the metabolism. And so tiredness and hot at the oddest times, yeah, skin issues. And so it's all just a matter of metabolism and hormones. And what's happening is hormones are kind of dictating what's going on, but that can be managed if you have your metabolism in an optimal spot. Now, what happens is in menopause or perimenopause is when all the fluctuations happen. And so, all right, thank you very much for sharing. So that's when it kind of puts a spotlight on your lifestyle. And so your lifestyle is going to affect your metabolism, which in turn affects your hormones. And so it's all in concert, right? And so you throw something off and then something else happens. So Carla, I think that says Carla, can't sleep, moodiness, emotional wreck, so tired, panic attacks, heart palpitations, libido. So it's, that's like very common, and it's just, it's one of those things that, it's not you just have to deal with it. No, that's bullshit, right? There are some things that you can do, but a lot of it has to do. So like with those symptoms, that is going to be more stress related. I would actually have to ask you, like, how much stress are you under? Because I think that is going to be the underlying, like what's happening. So stress is a huge component that's going to negatively affect your metabolism. If you're not managing your stress, then it's going to have a negative effect. We all have stress, right? But it's how we deal with it that's going to dictate like what happens with the metabolism. So just tell me how long this is going to last. I have no idea. Like there's no set time for anybody, but it's like, what are you doing for yourself now to help yourself, right? Because there are things that you can do to your lifestyle. Like, again, managing stress, making sure you're getting sleep, making sure you're drinking enough water, nutrition, and exercise. So are those helping? Like, is your nutrition helping your metabolism? Are you eating enough calories? What about exercise? Like, are you exercising enough, or are you exercising too much, right? Those things can both occur. So some people exercise or just doing a ton of cardio. That's raising stress levels. That is not helping you when you're going through like this hormonal shitstorm that's happening in menopause, right? So what you do with your lifestyle is going to dictate how you go through menopause for the most part, right? There are big rocks that you can address that are going to help you feel better. Yes, you can do HRT, but that's not the first thing that I would do, right? I'm not against HRT at all. I do not take it myself, but I am not against it. So, but there are things that you can do for your hormones and your metabolism first. And then if that just isn't it, then we start looking at hormones deeper. But I'm not sure about the rash thing, right? I really don't. Oh, like heat-related rash. Got it. So I would definitely like make sure like you're drinking cold water, avoiding coffee, alcohol, caffeine. It's about avoiding caffeine more than anything. Avoiding alcohol and avoiding spicy foods and hot drinks is going to lead to those hot flashes. I know you don't want to hear that. I know, right? But it's just like, these are just things that you can try, right? Try eliminating coffee or just cutting down and see what it happens. Maybe bring it closer to like noon instead of having it later on in the day, and just see if that helps, right? Give it a week, give it a trial. If it doesn't make a difference, then move on to the next thing. But, it's going to be different for everybody. I've tried everything, including hot. I'm not sure exactly what that means. It gets better over time, but it's been about 2 years for me so far. Driving, biking, a lot of water. There we go. Yeah. HRT. So HRT isn't isn't like this magic pill, right? There's other things that need to be in balance first before you do HRT. That's going to help HRT work more effectively. So let me see. Sorry, I missed your Zoom yesterday. Fell asleep. That's all right. I sent out the recording. All right, I'm going to start following you guys. All right, I stopped HRT because it did not work, but I have tried everything. So something isn't like in sync, right? So I would definitely look at I would definitely look at nutrition first, and then look at what kind of exercise are you doing. I would definitely look at what are your stress practices, or practices to relieve stress, and then sleep practices. That's what I meant to say. So what can we do to regulate our insulin? So that is definitely going to be diet related as well. All right. So, it's not all it's not, there's something that you can do, so it just really just depends on what you are doing now. So I know you're saying that you've tried everything, but something is missing, right? It could be the stress piece, it could be the sleep piece, it could be the nutrition piece. So not really sure. Justin's raising his hands. No, he's waving. See, that's what happens when you get old people on here. What's up, Justin? Hey, did you get your 1,000 followers yet? Let me see. Yeah, you did. Awesome. Justin was on a live the last time that I was here. I don't remember if it was Sunday or last Thursday. So, it wasn't Sunday because I went away for Valentine's Day. All right, so to regulate insulin, that is also going to have a lot to do with sleep and stress. Stress is such a it can have such a negative effect, and that is going to affect your hormones. And so, like, that's one of the biggest things that you guys can do for yourselves is manage your stress. And we're really crappy at that, right? We tell everybody that we're going to do all this stuff. We don't make ourselves a priority. We say, oh yes, I can do that. Or somebody doesn't do something right the way we want it to, so we just do it for them. We take on way too much. We don't give ourselves enough time. We don't do things that we enjoy. We're always doing things for other people. And then it just becomes this, like, you're like a rat, right? You're going to work, rushing to get to work, and then you get to work, and then your job's like, maybe not the best. And then you just go home, and then you sit your ass on the couch, and it's like, and that's it, right? And then it's like time to make dinner. And so what are you doing for yourself to relieve stress? So that really has to play into it, So, and then obviously we can, well, maybe not so obviously, but yes, we would look at diet as well. So it's looking at timing, possibly looking at what your diet consists of. I am not a doctor. I am a nutrition coach, so I can only guide you as far as nutrition goes. Definitely I would see a doctor for something like that. But what happens with my clients is when we bring in, like, what I start them off with is what do I want to call it? Like a maintenance phase. And so that's to bring the metabolism back, to get everything kind of reset and to kind of restore and reboot that metabolism. And so a lot of times either women are under eating or maybe they're overeating. And so it's just getting in that balance of where your body wants to be. Your body wants to be at that status quo, and it wants to, so it's going to require a certain amount of calories from you. It also wants to have a and this is just my approach, but balanced macros, right? And so not this low carb bullshit, not this high fat keto bullshit, and not this not enough protein bullshit, right? So balanced macros, making sure you're getting in enough protein, 0.7 to 1 gram per pound of body weight. Carbs should be right around 30%. If you're in maintenance, it's going to be a little bit higher, and then fat should be around 30% of your calories. If you are curious, like what I'm even talking about, you can calculate your maintenance calories using the link in my bio to my calorie calculator. It's absolutely free. You can have your recommendation in about 30 seconds so that you're going to know exactly how many carbs should you be having, how much protein, how much fat, and then you go from there. So now it's important to look at the quality of your nutrition. So I give my clients the freedom to fill in their macros with what they want to fill it in with, but with the guidelines that it should be 80% whole foods, and then we can work in 20% of those foods that they enjoy, right? So that is my approach for my clients is just having a balanced diet. And then when we do that, when we get your body up to those maintenance calories, what happens is we start to see the inches come down. Maybe not necessarily weight, right? We might see like a couple pounds come off, but we're seeing the belly measurements go down first. For the most part, like this is going to be like 98% of my clients, their belly measurements are going to start to go down. And so what's happening is your body wants those maintenance calories. Now it's getting what it needs, and now it can start to release the fat that it's been storing in your abdomen. So what happens is you're going through this hormonal shitstorm, and usually, not always, but there is some kind of trauma that comes on right before you see this rapid weight gain, right? So we saw COVID. That was a trauma for a lot of people. We'll see a divorce, a loss of a parent, a loss of a pet, something like that that's going to trigger. And then we see like in a year, maybe 2 years, it's just like, what happened to my body? So it, not coincidentally happens like around the same time, because there's always going to be something that happens. But, these issues definitely come up in your late 40s and early 50s. And so now not only are you dealing with hormones that are kind of all over the place right now, or that are unbalanced, but then you have these kind of events happening. So it's not uncommon to have these events happening. And so that leads to that stress hormone coming up, cortisol raising. That's what's leading to that belly fat. Cortisol receptors live here in the abdomen, and so we just see excess fat stored in our bellies. So that's what's going on with belly fat. And so, hormonal shitstorm. So, all right, Candace, I'm eating well, veggies and protein. It may be lack of sleep and stress for me. Yeah. Yeah, I saw that you did, Justin. Sorry, I'm behind on the comments. So, it's not, about like eliminating foods generally. It's going to be mostly about just adding the correct amount of foods. I don't want to say the correct amount of foods, but the foods that are going to support your metabolism. And it's not always about taking away, because a lot of times women just aren't eating enough for their bodies. And so knowing what your maintenance calories is going to be step number one. And with my macro calorie calculator, it's also going to give you a recommendation for where those calories come from. So that's all that macros are, is knowing, is just carbohydrates, protein, and fat. So if you think of them as like silos, so here's like, and these would generally be around the same size. So just imagine that these are all the same size, right? You just want to fill these up. And so this is your macros, right? This is your protein, this is your carbs, this is your fat. You fill these up, and then that's what makes up your calories. So that's all that macros are, right? Is just making sure that you fill your recommendations for fat, filling your recommendations for carbohydrates, filling your recommendations for protein. What I find a lot of times is people are getting this much protein, their fat, or I should say their carbohydrates are overflowing, and then they're not. Fats are usually pretty good, right? Fats are usually around 30%, but it's usually too many carbs and not enough protein that I see that's affecting women, and just having a not advantageous effect on their body. You start increasing protein, you start decreasing carbs a little bit, and you're going to see an alteration in body composition. And that's what I'm talking about, is belly fat measurements are coming down. So it's not menopause that's causing the belly fat. It's your lifestyle around menopause, and what you're eating or not eating, how you're exercising or not exercising, how you're managing stress or not managing stress, and sleep, that's leading to you having that excess stored body fat. So does this make sense to you ladies? All right, so the calculator is right here, is the link in my bio. Falmouth road race, yeah, I did 14 consecutive road races. So have you ever run the Falmouth road race? All right, thank you, Donna. And Candace, yeah. So it's really just about, honestly, it's just about balance. And I know, like, that's boring, right? We want to do the keto diet. We want to do this shiny thing. We want to be able to take this teaspoon of whatever the fuck crap they're selling on all over TikTok, right? Like, yeah, that would be awesome if you could do that and it would just work, right? But it doesn't work like that. So it's really about moderation and not going to extremes. And so, like, in this like period of time, it's really putting a spotlight on your lifestyle. If you're not sleeping enough, you're staying up late watching Netflix and drinking wine. I've been guilty of that once or twice. it's really going to affect what happens with your hormones. I have done everything. Last year, first time, nice. Are you in Massachusetts? Asking about the Falmouth Road Race. Yeah, I love the Falmouth Road Race. I don't run anymore, but if you ask me what my favorite race is, it's going to be the Falmouth Road Race by a long shot. So is that Lucia? So yeah, that's actually a thing, right? So something is going on. So you might be in too much of a deficit. This is what happens to women that are dieting all the time. They start having those sweet cravings. It's not necessarily. So this is a reaction from your hunger hormones, right? That's saying like, we need to get food in our body. We are going to send her cravings, and we're going to send her uncontrollable cravings for a very fast food source. So you're not going to be craving broccoli. You're not going to be craving chicken. You're going to be craving sweet stuff because that's going to be the fastest way for your body to get those calories in, right? And it doesn't care. It's going to increase cravings. And so ghrelin, then you have ghrelin and leptin, and so your satiety hormone, right? Now that's off, and then it doesn't come in with that, hey, we're full, right? It just says, hey, keep going, right? So we're getting the calories, like keep going. So you have those uncontrollable cravings. That's usually from not eating enough, right? That's just the way that it kind of goes. So if you're always in a diet and now you start to crave sweets, it's just your body's way of adapting. It's the metabolism adapting to what you are doing. So you're downregulated your metabolism. Your metabolism's job is to keep you alive. And so it's like trying to get food into your body. And so that's where cravings come from. I did the keto diet and I lost a ton of weight on it. But then I also looked like a raisin. Like I had no muscle tone whatsoever. I did it for way too long. I think I did it for probably 9 months or something like that. And I just looked like, all of a sudden I looked at myself. I'm like, what is this? I was completely gray. I had no color in my face. It just looked gray and pallid, and just my skin was kind of hanging, and I was like, what is this? Like, I was like, oh, yay, I'm losing weight. It wasn't even, like, that's all I was focusing on, and, like, I didn't even really look at, like, what I was looking like, and I was like, oh, my God. There was a picture of myself, and I'm like, oh, my God, that's what I look like? I'm like, geez. Why didn't anybody say anything? All I was, like, so happy because I lost 15 pounds, yay. But that's what we do. That's what we do as women. So yeah, as far as belly fat goes, right? It's not the stubborn belly fat. It's just that what you're doing needs to change. And what we used to be able to do to lose weight doesn't work anymore. So we can't, eat less and work out more. It doesn't work anymore because your hormones, again, are just crazy. So you need to support your hormones. You need to support your metabolism. This is not advice for somebody who's in their 30s, right? It's not the same, right? They can still do their, exercise more and eat less, and it's going to work for them. But what's going to happen is it's not going to work for them if they keep repeating the cycle. And so that's what happens is we completely alter our diet, get to where we want to be, and then we're like, all right, cool. Well, I'll just go back to my old lifestyle. And so we pack those pounds back on. What happens is when you go into a diet, more than likely, especially if it's like a faster diet or something like keto or something like that, you're going to be losing fat and muscle, right? Not just fat. So now you've depleted your muscle on your body, not all of it, but every time you go into a dieting phase, you have less muscle on your body. When you gain that weight back, and it comes back, right? It just comes back faster and faster and faster each cycle, to the point like you might even gain more back. I'm sure some of you have had this experience, but the weight that you gain back is all fat. That muscle is gone, and so now you have this altered body shape. So it's a long ass process, right? It just seems to speed up. like in your late 40s to really where it's like, whoa, what happened to my body, right? Where did this belly fat come from and why won't it go away, right? Ab exercises aren't going to help. Cardio is not going to help. It's not. And that's what we do. We're like, all right, I'm going to do, this cardio program. I'm going to start running. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. Then I'm just, eat salads. And it just doesn't work, right? All right. So completely understand that. I just ate half a key lime pie in 2 days. I love key lime pie. So once you get yourself out of the cycle and start eating at maintenance calories, when you're at maintenance calories, you can fill that in, right? You can have some key lime pie. What happens is when you're in a deficit, especially for an extended period of time, your body doesn't have that shut off where it says, hey, one piece is enough. Right? It doesn't, because that hormone is shut off, your body's just trying to keep it alive. It doesn't know, like, this is probably not the best choice. It says, no, this is the easiest choice. Bring it on. So being in maintenance, is just, I know it's boring, right? Is in moderation. And so, I am in maintenance. I'm at 2050. I'm actually in a little bit of a surplus trying to put on some muscle. So I can pretty much eat whatever I want. I have 2,100 calories. I call that money in the bank, right? And so I'm going to spend that. So if I want a piece of key lime pie, I can have a piece of key lime pie. If I want a glass of wine or two, then I'm going to have a glass of wine or two. It's not going to promote a response from my body to say, oh, keep having it, right? Because it hasn't been getting it all this time. So that's what's really happening is, you're in very low calories and then it says, oh, come on. If you're going to eat this now, then let's keep eating it. Right. And so that leads to that binge and restrict cycle. Now you beat yourself up because you had some key lime pie. You're like, oh, screwed up my diet. All right, fine. It's Friday night. Well, I'll just start my diet again on Monday. And then you go through this whole salads and eating air basically for the whole week. Of course, it's going to increase your need. Your body's going to get those calories, right? So it's going to lead to those binges. And so that's what's happening. You might think that you are consistently dieting and in a deficit, but what happens is your body's not getting the nutrition that it needs. It's being undernourished. And then you're binging on the weekends. And again, you're not binging on broccoli and chicken, right? You're binging on those fast-acting foods. Your body can't even keep up with the digestion of those foods. And so now it doesn't even have the calories that it needs. And here it has way too many that it can't even deal with. And so even if you were... And in that kind of scenario, right, you're under eating here, but you're overeating here. So we are not in a deficit anymore. But you fucked yourself because you were in a deficit all week. And now you're in a completely over and out of the deficit. But not only that, you're not giving your body still the nutrition that it needs. And you're making your body work extra hard to kind of digest those foods and not the best kind of foods. Typically, right? That is just a typical binge and restrict cycle. I know it well because I've done it for 20 years. So I know how it works, unfortunately. All right. All right, I'm at maintenance right now. Is it normal to gain a few pounds? So Justin is saying, yes. So, absolutely. So I would expect somebody who has been under eating for a while, say most women's maintenance calories are going to be between 1,700 and 22. That's super general, but that's about where maintenance calories are. You can check your maintenance calories by going to my online calorie calculator. Absolutely free. Check out your maintenance calories. So now you eat at maintenance. And if you've been at 1,500 calories, or maybe you've been at 1,200 calories, and now you go up to 2,000 calories, hell yeah, you're going to gain weight right away. Within 2 to 3 days, you are going to put on 2 to 3 pounds. And that is not body fat, right? That is going to be water from the carbs that you're taking in. That's going to be food that's in your digestion. And so that is going to lead to more weight on the scale. So yes, you are going to gain weight, but it's not fat gain. So to gain a pound of fat, you'd have to eat 3,500 calories over your maintenance. Now, here's the thing. You've kind of set your new maintenance. still you would have to eat 3,500 calories to gain a pound of fat over like whatever you were eating. So that's not what's happening in that 3 days. So what happens? Yes, you are going to put some weight, and it's just going to be water. It's going to be water weight. So what generally happens, and I always recommend when I'm putting somebody through a maintenance phase, that they're getting at least 64 ounces of water, right? Yes, that's even going to be more, especially if you're not used to having that water, but that's going to help keep flushing that out so that it doesn't stick. Now, worst case scenario, it sticks, right? If somebody gains like 5 pounds on maintenance, then they're not truly in maintenance, all right? So I expect that initial weight gain, and then sometimes it sticks, sometimes it comes off, and now you're still maintaining at that original weight. And some people lose weight on maintenance because now the body is getting the calories that it needs. It no longer needs to store the fat on on your body, and it starts to release that. So that's where we see. But in all instances, if you have the appropriate macros, right, the appropriate setup, not doing a keto diet, not eating low carb, right, balanced, then we're going to see a shift in body measurements. Even in maintenance, we are going to see your body shrink with the measurements, and that usually comes from the belly fat. Now, if somebody gains 5 pounds on maintenance, then first thing that I'm asking is like, are you tracking accurately, right? Fair question, right? Do you know that you are in fact eating 2,000 calories, or are you kind of guesstimating, right? So that just means that we overshot your maintenance, right? My calculator, any calculator is a guess at best, but it is an educated guess, right? So if you truly gain 5 pounds, give it 3 weeks. If you truly gain 5 pounds in 3 weeks, then you're going to back off of your maintenance calories a little bit. But the first thing that I would ask is, how accurate are you being with your calories? That doesn't mean just like, oh yeah, I'm shooting for 2,000 calories and then going out on the weekends and having, a couple of extra 500 calories. So I would look at that first, right? I'm not accusing, I'm just saying that's the first thing that we would look at, and then say, hey, we might have overshot maintenance a little bit. This doesn't mean that like because you gain, like you should right away back it off, right? 3 days later, oh my God, this is off, right? You have to give it time, let the process go through, give it 3 weeks to see, and then weigh yourself 3 times a week, not just every Monday, right? If you weighed yourself every Monday after having like, hey, I had pizza last night, then I had beer, right? You're going to gain more weight on the scale. So that's why I definitely recommend having weight measurements 3 times a week and then doing your actual measurements. My ladies are losing inches in maintenance. This means that they are losing fat. So that's like the kind of the process. I know it messes with your mind. I get that. But if you are patient through that process, then it's going to pay off. If you truly gain 5 pounds in maintenance, then you have overshot your maintenance. I hope that makes sense. So just started maintenance phase, so it's been a few weeks. All right. And so what has happened with weight? So you're asking if it's normal to gain a few pounds, and you said you've been in it for a few weeks. Like, what's a few weeks? 3 weeks, 5 weeks, 2 weeks, right? And what's happened with weight? I don't take any fiber supplements. And how long did it take to gain 5 pounds? And then how many weight measurements have you taken? These are questions that I have. And how are you measuring, like, your food? So that would be normal. I would not freak out. And I want to know, like, how many times have you weighed yourself as well? And gained about 5 pounds. Like, is that like 3.5 pounds? Is that 5.2, right? So, what was I just saying? I forget. There was a question in there. In a maintenance phase, like if weight is an issue, right? If you're really tied into what's happening on the scale, then I would just take the scale out for the first month, right? Take the scale out and see what's happening with measurements. I highly recommend that you do measurements. So, fiber supplements. I don't do fiber supplements. Like, I just eat raspberries. What you can do is just look up high fiber foods. I do tend to love broccoli. Like, that's one of my, I don't know why it's my favorite, but it's just, I don't know if it's my favorite vegetable, but it's one that I eat a lot. So, measuring cups, grams weighed today for the first time. So here's the thing, right? You've only weighed once since you started. That's fine, but that doesn't mean that you gained 5 pounds, right? So that's why I have my clients. It's really just to desensitize themselves to what's happening on the scale, right? Because I'm like, hold on, because this is being a fucking bumpy ride, right? You are going to gain weight and then it's going to come down, gain, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, right? Desensitize yourself to that so that you're not like, oh my God, right? So that's just my approach. For somebody that's super, like, very, very, very tied into that weight, and it doesn't sound like you are, I take the scale away, because we don't need to know. We do not need to know that bad, right? We just do the measurements. So I've had a couple people that were like that, right? They were just like, I can't, right? This is, you know, I want my money back. This is not what I signed up for. They are like truly like freaking out about their weight. And it's just like, you know, like tomorrow it's going to be different and the next day it's going to be different. So I don't suggest you weigh yourself every single day. Like, that's not necessary. But if it's going to, you know, throw you through a loop and ruin your day and have you, you know, where you're like, okay, well, I'm just not eating today, right? Because that's what happened. There's so many reasons why that scale weight would go up rather than just what you did, right? You're not gaining fat. Water retention is huge. Also inflammation. So inflammation from stress. Cortisol is a huge inflammation. It creates a huge inflammation response in the body. So that is going to lead to a elevated weight on the scale. But also, like, did you have a kick-ass workout 2 days ago? Because if you're sore, even if you're not sore, you're still having that response. And so that is going to lead to weight gain on the scale. It's not fat gain. So there's a big difference between fat gain and fat loss, or weight gain and fat gain, and same with fat loss, weight loss. Yes. So for my clients, I focus on fat loss, right? I want them to shrink their bodies. We don't focus on weight. It's why I go over measurements. I want them to start shrinking and see like those measurements go down. So it's just data. You know, weight is just data, and it's not super reliable because it fluctuates. So when I have somebody in a fat loss phase, right, I just want to see it just go down. Like, it's never a linear. I used to have a graph of my weight loss journey. So it was like here, nothing happened, and then it went down, and then it was like here, and then it went down, and then it went down, 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 and then it just kind of stayed, right? It stayed at a point, like it was like a plateau. I did a diet break for 2 weeks, and then I went back into fat loss phase. So it's just interesting. And, you know, biofeedback was really shitty then. I wasn't sleeping good. I was tired of tracking. I was, you know, moody. And it was just time like, hey, girl, you've been dieting for 12 weeks. It's enough, right? It's enough. And so 2-week diet break, go back to maintenance, right? I went to my parents. This was already coming up. I get back. I didn't gain anything in maintenance when I was away for 2 weeks. I was only away for 1 week, but in that 2-week period, I gained, and then it came off. But then when I came back into that dieting phase, like, my body was like, oh my God, like, it needed that diet break. And so then fat loss started happening again. So if you're stuck at a plateau, right, or if you're not losing weight on maintenance, it's because you've been dieting for too long, for too long. So, all right, I'm going to ignore the scale for a while. Yes, I'll check measurements. Yeah, just give yourself like some headspace away from like what's going on. If you watch it, you know, it's just like watching a pot boil, right? It's not going to happen. So that is like belly fat loss 101. It's not this complicated thing. I mean, yeah, it's a little complicated about like, what do you eat, right? It depends. What do you like? go to the calculator, and that's going to kind of tell you like where you should be getting your calories from. This is why I have my clients track macros, so that they know. It's a lot different to just try to eat 2,000 calories than it is to like, okay, of these 2,000 calories, 600 are going to come from fat, 800 are going to come from protein, and like I'm making this up, right? And then another 600 is going to come from carbs, right? So that's what you're doing when you're tracking macros, is you're filling these cups, right? And so when it's unbalanced, then that is going to lead to weight fluctuations, not only weight fluctuations, but altered body shape, right? So we want those to be balanced. And I can tell you right now, most women do not eat enough protein. They're overeating on carbs. Fats, you have a pretty good leeway. But if you have too much fat, the macros that you can store the easiest is fat, right? Next is carbs. You're gonna burn carbs for energy, but all excess carbs are gonna get stored as fat. But excess fat gets stored more readily as fat. So it's not that fat makes you fat, but having too much fat is just going to be stored way easier than it is if you have excess carbs. Protein doesn't get stored as readily as either carbs or fat. And so there's a different mechanism that is going on there. So way less of a percentage. All right, what's your question? What's your question, Daisy Daffel? This protein intake is incredible. I can't believe how much it's affecting me. All right. So you're in my menopause meltdown challenge, right? 5-day menopause. Like, wait, I know this name. This is going to piss me off when you tell me your name, because I'll be like, oh my God, how come I don't know this? I do know this. I can't see the picture. Right. No, I think she is a client. Yeah, protein is like definitely the crux of like what is going to give you your results. I don't do, it shouldn't be 40% protein, right? So it is going to be, Robin. Robin just started with me a couple weeks ago. So, yeah. So I start my clients off with a protein goal, and she freaking went for it, right? So I'm like, all right, girl, well, let's get it. Let's get after it. So she's like in between 160 and 170 grams of protein. I think it's 170 grams of protein. And so that is not a easy feat for somebody who is not used to eating protein, right? I get in 170 grams of protein, but I have been doing this for a while. So that is 56 grams of protein per meal. That's not hard to do, right? If you put a protein powder into a serving of Greek yogurt, you're going to have 42 grams of protein. 2 ingredients, 42 grams of protein. You could 1.5 that Greek yogurt. A lot of people are going to be like, well, no, I'll just double up on the protein powder. It's not going to have the same effect. You want to get your protein from mostly from whole food sources. That being said, like I always recommend to my clients that they incorporate a protein powder, so to help them with those goals. But you're not going to sit there and get your protein goals. You're not going to get the same effect of what protein is doing for you by having 4 premier protein shakes, all right? So it's not the same. So any protein or only lean proteins like fish and chicken. So it really depends on what your goals are. 56 grams of protein is well, for a lot of people, it's 2 servings of chicken. It's an 8-ounce breast. It's 8 ounces of chicken. So it's not unheard of. So what I like to do for myself is 6 ounces of chicken, and then I'm going to add some cheese. Maybe I'll add some prosciutto. Maybe I'll add some bacon. If you mix like some rice, maybe add some broccoli. by the time you add all that stuff, you are going to hit 50 grams of protein pretty easily, maybe even a little bit more, because like broccoli does have a little bit of protein. So does spinach. Like some vegetables have a little bit of protein. So all those little numbers are going to add up, right? That 3 grams here, that 4 grams here, that 6 grams in the chicken. It all adds up. So yeah, I like the Orgain ones. I don't love the Premier Protein ones, only because if you flip that sucker around, the ingredients list is like that, and there's 2 ingredients that are going to cause gastric distress. So if you get disaster pants after eating a shake like that, after having a shake like that, know that it's probably something that's in that shake that you are intolerant of, and so it's not a uncommon reaction to those drinks. Some people can drink them completely fine, so, but other people it's like, whoa, what happened there? So if you go to my website, the challenge is on there. It's the 5-day Menopause Meltdown Challenge. Link is in my bio. And so yeah, it's just you'll see it's 5 days, and you get like all this the email support. You get 1 email a day. There's a Facebook group for that, and yeah. All right, so again, as far as like lean proteins go, it really depends on what your goal is. If you have like a ribeye steak, that is going to have almost as much fat as it does protein, but that doesn't mean that you can't have it, right? People think that peanut butter is a protein source, right? It's actually a fat source, but it does have protein in it. So I would recommend like leaner proteins to start with, but then you can still fill in like with chicken thighs or salmon, like a fattier fish, right? Because you do need those essential fatty acids, right? We want that stuff. So don't always just have lean chicken. You want to have a wide variety of the amino acids, so they're going to have a different effect on your body. The benefit of protein is muscle building, right? It also has the thermic effect of protein is what is helping shift that body composition. So if you're eating 2,000 calories and you're getting 30% of your protein if you're getting 30% of those from protein, or I like to say, I think it's easier to just say, shoot for 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight, right? So that could be anywhere from maybe it's 120, maybe it's 170 grams of protein. So in that process, now your body has to digest that protein. If you have a quick digesting protein source, like a protein powder, it doesn't take anything for your body to digest that. But you throw in a chicken breast, you throw in some salmon, you throw in some shrimp, like any like yogurt or something like that, and it has to like break it down to the tune of like it's going to burn like 25% of those calories are going to be not technically burned off, but it does take calories to burn. It does take calories, it does take energy to digest that protein. So it's about an average of like 80 to 100 calories just by increasing your protein, right? So that's not insignificant when you add it up over a week, over a month, right? That's a pretty good calorie burn just from eating protein. And so that's like one of the benefits is it just has a higher thermic effect of protein. Thermic effect of food is highest from protein. You're not going to get the same benefit from fat. Fat's like 5%, and I think carbs is like 8 to 10%, but 25% from protein. So yeah, I just give people ideas on like what to eat. I don't tell people what to eat. So you don't like yogurt, then don't eat yogurt, right? This is why I don't do meal plans for people, because I could sit there and create the perfect meal plan. You know, I could tell you what I eat for breakfast. I can tell you what I eat for lunch, and then you're going to be like, what the hell is that, right? Just like if somebody shared what they eat for lunch, like I'm going to be like, okay, oh, that's nice. You know, I don't really, maybe you don't like that. So I would never do a meal plan for somebody, but for my clients, I do give protein suggestions, ideas, meal suggestions. I'm friends with my clients on MyFitnessPal. They can see what I'm eating. I encourage them to make friends with each other in the group so that everybody can kind of share like what they're having. So what ready-made protein drink do you recommend versus Premier? Quest has a good one. I love Quest, and I like Orgain. That's the only two that I can think of offhand. I don't usually get the ready-mades. What I do is I just, let me show you. All right, so I am sponsored by Legion. I don't happen to have any Legion up here. I love Quest, so whenever I go on vacation, I'm going to do, like they have the snack baggies, I'm going to do a scoop of this in baggies, and I literally just add it to this water bottle from my hotel room. I'll like bring it to there, and so like I can have this anywhere. Like you could literally just have just a regular plastic water bottle, because if you get those skinny baggies, then it kind of makes a funnel and you can pour it right into the water bottle itself. Like if you just buy a plastic water bottle, I think they banned those in Massachusetts. I haven't been to a convenience store in a bit, but you just take out some of the water, make sure that you allow for the protein powder, because these scoops are pretty hefty. Oh, I don't have the scooper in there. All right, so there's 26 grams of protein in this, but the thing why I love Quest and Legion is because they taste good. So that for me is a requirement for a protein source. It also is 26 grams of protein, half a gram of fat, 2 grams of carbs, right? So there's nothing else in here besides protein. So it's only 120 calories, and it's pretty inexpensive. Now, this is sweetened with stevia. Not everybody can tolerate stevia, but I feel like these go down way better than the Premier proteins do. But if you're in grocery store or in like Target and like that's, you know, you're not going to get home for like 2 or 3 hours, then is the Premier protein shake the worst thing to have? No, right? I'd actually grab a Quest birthday cake bar in that situation. But, you know, it's just about being creative with things. Like, yes, you know, have one of these for sure to help you hit those goals. I will also have 1 scoop of this, Vital Proteins, the collagen peptides. I also drink bone broth to actually have real collagen. So this is like the hot dog of protein, right? This is the leftover. Collagen is what's left over when they make the whey protein. So it's an inferior source of protein. They just put a package on here. Look and feel your best with collagen, right? I have this 1 scoop of it because it is 9 grams of protein. Literally, you could eat unflavored Jell-O. That's what this is. That's what this is. Why am I not buying unflavored Jell-O? Because it's not in a pretty package with a scoop. That's why. But it's the same thing. Like if you have more than 1 scoop of that in the water, it's just gross. I can tolerate 1 scoop of that with my water. So I'm missing. It's personal preference. I would rather have Quest protein powder over the collagen, personally. Fairlife. Oh, I haven't had Fairlife actually. So, because it's like that's like milk, right? It's milk, chocolate milk and vanilla milk. Love milk. I don't have protein shakes a lot. I don't like. I would rather eat it. I'd rather put it in yogurt. That's just me personally. Plus, if I'm going to make a shake, like I'm gonna add yogurt to it and add a bunch of stuff, and then I'm gonna have to clean my blender, and I don't want to do that. So, but yeah, Fairlife sounds good. So, 2 good vanilla yogurt, skinny syrup, scoop of salted caramel protein, half a banana. Yes. All right, so that is how many grams of protein? And that's like an amazing breakfast right there. So, you know, it's when you find those go-to meals that's so exciting, and that's like, I want my clients to be excited about what they're eating. If you're not excited about your diet or what you're eating, you're not going to stick to it, right? That's why keto diets don't, like, it's attractive at first, but you know, there's going to come a time when you're going to want some fruit, or you're going to want some bread, or you're going to want some wine. And so now what? You know, now you can't have it because you're so restricted with this diet. My approach is tracking macros using a flexible dieting lifestyle. My clients get to decide what they want to put into their diet. Yes, I'm going to give some suggestions on what to have, but you know, it's just coming up with your own meal plan is going to be so much more beneficial than me saying, here, eat this, right? So with my client Robin and her vanilla yogurt, skinny syrup, and salsa, like I would have never thought to put that together, and for her, she's like, yeah, bomb, and you guys are like, yeah, that sounds good, right? And so that's why I love our like Wednesday calls. So each week we get together at like 8 o'clock, and then we kind of talk about these ideas. So if you look forward to what you're having and it's hitting that protein goal and you're hitting, having a protein rich meal is going to tie you over. Robin knows this very well. She's just like, the hell, I am not hungry, right? How can you eat all this, right? This is a lot of protein. It is, guys. I am not going to lie. It is a lot of protein when you're first starting out. Doesn't mean it's impossible. You just got to figure out what are those sources that you like and then incorporate those and not relying on shakes. It doesn't matter if you have one. Have it. Yes, check that off of the list. But just be excited about your food. Bread, I don't really have a preference, right? So I like cinnamon toast, like the Pepperidge Farm cinnamon bread, but I also do English muffins. Doesn't always have to be Dave's. I find Dave's English muffins are always burnt a little bit, so I'm like, nah. I'll just go with the English muffins from the store, right? The ones that are $1.99, because Thomas's are like $4.50 or whatever. I do store brands a lot. Breads, I do bagels. I love the little mini bagels. They just came out with the croissants. I was so excited about them. They're not that good, so... All right. So it's like whatever you want, you can just you can have whatever you want. I do a lot of wraps. So I have this wrap that comes from my store. It's the Market Basket brand. It's 9 grams of protein for this wrap, right? And so I'll do a lot of wraps. I'll put in like 6 ounces of turkey in there. My latest thing is buffalo chicken, right? So that's my fave, buffalo chicken and some ranch dressing. You can't even overdo the ranch because once you roll it up, right, it's going to squirt out the sides. So it's kind of like quantity control, like how much you're going to put in there because you can only put so much. And then I'll do like lettuce or cheese. Sometimes I heat it up and melt the cheese. So that's a good way to get in. Like I can definitely nail like 56 grams of protein when I do something like that. So I did a TikTok about that this summer and I got so much hate about it. Like people are, I'm eating cancer because of the deli meat and stuff like that. I'm like, oh my God, there's other things to worry about than what I'm putting on my sandwich. So just trying to give you guys ideas for protein. So, all right. Well, this was a good TED Talk. I'm going to put it on YouTube. So, shoot, this is probably going to be a long one. Yeah, it's about an hour. So, but all good stuff. So, it's going to live on my YouTube channel at Kathy Catalyst. And if you guys want, I always put out like whatever I do for content on, I just put out my podcast in my, what I put on YouTube. I don't put out all my content because I do put out a good amount. So you can follow me on Instagram or Facebook. You can join my 5-day Menopause Meltdown Challenge. That's going to be on my website. You can check out your macros using my online calorie calculator. I do have a podcast called Mastering Menopause. They're super short, unless I have a guest, which I haven't had a guest on in a while. They're between 5 and 7 minutes long. What else? And then YouTube, I haven't really been too active on YouTube. I just put these TED Talks on there. So I always put the date of it and then like a little bit of snippet about what it is. So if you guys want more content, then there's plenty of more information out there. There's also a lot of bullshit out there. So if you guys have any questions, the best way to contact me would not be through TikTok, right? Because if we're not following each other, if I'm not following you or you're not following me, then we can't message each other. But if you go to Instagram or Facebook, then I can respond to you there in Messenger or through Instagram. So I hope that you guys have an awesome weekend. Thank you so much for joining me. Robin, have an awesome night. Justin, thank you. We should really get together and do a live, especially now that he has 1,000 followers. So good stuff. And you're very welcome. You're very welcome. So guys, have a good night. Bye.